So I have a document open from the Chapter 11 work files. It's called tiger_ref.rif. And basically what I want you to do is open this so that you can follow along with this video. We're going to go up to Canvas and we're going to look at resize. Now, the idea with the canvas resize is that basically we're dealing with two different sets of measurements that are always going to impact each other. The first is pixels. How many pixels are actually in this document? Right now we have 2,560 pixels across and 1,918 pixels down. Now these pixels will not change. We can, however, change how many pixels are contained per inch. Now, why would we want to change the number of pixels per inch? If you're printing out this document on, say, an offset lithography press, then you're going to want something closer to around 300 pixels per inch. Now, that does not mean that these pixel values will change. Instead, what will change is how many inches that these pixel values can produce. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change from pixels to inches. And you can see right now that these pixel values at 96 pixels per inch are producing a document that is 26 inches wide by 19 inches tall. Now, if I were to change this resolution to say 300 ppi or pixels per inch, now you can see that the amount of inches that are produced by these pixels at 300 pixels per inch is 8 wide by 6 tall. Now, obviously there's some extra numbers back there. I'm not going to get into that. The bottom line here is that if you wanted to physically change the amount of resolution that's actually contained in the document, meaning that let's say that you wanted to make this smaller for posting on the web. Well, generally speaking, for web resolution, what we want is either 72 or 96 pixels per inch because it's only going to be displayed on a monitor. So if we were to type in, say, something like 96 pixels per inch, you'll see that we go back up here to, there we go, 26 wide by 19 tall. So the bottom line of changing these so that they will now go down to whatever size it is that we want. We just go over here and we say constrain file size, turn that off. And now when we change any of these parameters, there will actually be real changes that occur. So let's say that I know that I want this to be 10 inches wide. So I say 10 inches and 10 inches wide by basically 7.5 inches tall at 96 pixels per inch is going to result in a much smaller file size. You can see here that our current size is at 19 megabytes. Our new size will be 3 megabytes. Now, to see what that end result is going to be, if we come over here and we change from inches to pixels, and we change to pixels, you can see that we've gone from 2,560 pixels to 960 pixels. And again, the reason why is because we have 10 inches at 96 pixels per inch. If I hit OK, you're going to see the document gets smaller. Now, this isn't really necessarily indicative of what it's going to look like at full size because we're only viewing it at 25%. So if I zoom in, there it is at 100%. Now this is what it would look like on the web. So the resize function is really about choosing whether or not you want to make the pixels denser for print or if you want to reduce the file size for posting on the web so that you don't see this enormous image that isn't necessarily indicative of the final effect that you're shooting for, because generally speaking, we're going to want to see something like this instead of, let me just go over here to File, Revert, and we'll just use the embedded profile, like so. You can see this would not work on the web. I mean, we're basically zoomed way too far in. So that's basically what that resize function is about. Let's go ahead and minimize this guy back down to a smaller size, around 25. Now, underneath canvas size, we have the ability here now to add or remove extra pixels to the edges. So let's say that I want to add maybe 100 pixels to the top, and maybe I want to add 100 pixels or maybe 50 pixels to the left, and then I want to subtract, say, 50 pixels from the bottom and maybe subtract 100 pixels from the right and say OK. And now you can see that we've cropped in a little on the side and on the bottom, and over here we've added 50 pixels and we've added 100 pixels, and we could begin to use this for working out compositional areas where maybe we want to extend this out for our drawing or our painting, and we're just going to go ahead and fake that information, or we can use other tools to move that information over. But the bottom line here is that we can manipulate the canvas size at a very precise level by using this canvas size. Now, generally speaking, what's really going on here is not all that different from what happens when you use the crop tool. The big difference is that the crop tool really doesn't allow for you to have pixel precise canvas resizing functions like our canvas size function does. The other thing that's nice about our canvas size function is that we can add extra pixels to the document if we need our document to be a little bit larger in one particular direction, or maybe we need to crop it in a particular way in order to fit the composition just exactly the way that we want it to be. So that's your resize and canvas size functions. And like I say, they can be a little bit intimidating, I think, at first for people who are not used to working with digital documents with pixel resolution as an issue. But play with this document, play with the stuff that I just showed you, and I think it'll make sense after 2 or 3 tries.